two files opened up within Photopea. One is going to be the layers file and the other one is the door file. Both of those files are located in your Google Classroom. Next, we're going to look at the layers that are in the layers image. You have a statue, a doorway, and a background. Right now you can't see the doorway or the statue because the eyeball has been turned off of these two layers. When you click on the door option, it has only one layer because the door is isolated by itself. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to rename the door layer that's in the door file. And so we're going to double click on the word layer 1 and change that to door. Next, with that layer selected, I can Control C for copy, and then I can Control V for paste. Okay, so once we've copied and pasted our door, it should appear above the background layer if the background layer was selected. I accidentally messed that up, so mine now looks like yours does. Okay, and so what we're going to do next is we are going to remove some of the white pixels from the image. In your written instructions, it will tell you to get the magic eraser, which I apologize, but the magic eraser isn't available in Photopea. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose the magic wand instead. So you'll open up the wand selection and choose magic wand. And we're going to click on the white area of the door to select all of the white, and then we press delete, and then we're going to Control D to deselect that. It does the exact same thing that the magic eraser did, so don't feel bad that you're missing out on any of that. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to rearrange these layers, and we want to put the door in front of the doorway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the door layer and drag it up, and it will appear above the doorway layer. But now I'm going to turn on the eyeballs so you guys can see those two other layers. Okay, next we're going to change the opacity of the door, and the opacity is just how much you can see through it. So the first time we do it, we're going to put it at 50% opacity and press enter. And you'll notice that the door is a little bit see-through. There are also things called blending modes that we can adjust. The blending mode that we want to choose for the door is called luminosity. It's right here, right above in the layers panel. And luminosity made it very, very light. So the next thing I'm going to do is change my opacity up to 90% so I'm able to see it a little bit easier. Now, I want everybody to stop wherever you're at, and we want to go to File, and we want to save as a PSD. When we save as a PSD, the Photopea will keep all of our layers intact. Here it may ask you where to sign or what to name it. You're going to name it last name, first name, and then the word layers. Okay. So then the next thing that we want to do is link our layers together. So I am going to, well, actually first let me move the door over. So we're going to overlap it right there so it looks like it's actually coming off of the doorway. Okay, next I'm going to select both layers at the same time. So I'm going to hold down either my Control or my Shift key will work because these two are side by side. I select both of them, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom of my layers panel and I'm going to click on the little link layer. Okay. What that does is it is going to, whatever I do to one layer, the other layer will be affected. So we are going to slide the door over, and you'll notice that both of them moved at the same time. And then the next thing is we need to transform our selection a little bit. So in Photoshop, we would do Control T. In Photopea, we do Control Alt T. Or if you can't do the keyboard command, we can always go to Edit and choose Free Transform. When we do Free Transform, a bounding box is going to appear. And what we want to do is just drag this corner handle up a little bit just to make the door slightly larger. Okay, once we like where we've done, we can either press Enter on the keyboard or the check mark on the options bar at the top of the screen to commit or confirm that change. Okay, next I want to select the background layer because we're going to create a gradient. I want to create a new layer. The easiest way to create a new layer is at the bottom of the layers panel. There's a little button next to the trash can that's the new layer button, and when you do that, a new layer will always appear above whatever layer was selected. So because I selected my background layer and then I made a new one, the new layer is going to appear on top of background. I'm going to double click on the word layer 1, and I want to call this gradient. A gradient is a transition between two or more colors. So it's going to almost look like a tie-dyed effect. And my gradient tool is on the toolbar over here on the side. I can press the G for gradient or click on the tool. Okay. The next thing that what I want to do is when I select my gradient, I notice that on the top of the screen on the options bar, I have choices to make that are for my gradient. I want to make sure that linear is selected, and then I'm going to drop down here and I want to choose foreground to transparent. It doesn't matter what color your foreground is right now. We're going to do foreground to transparent. Transparent means that you'll see a little checkerboard. So I click on that, and I know that that's good because I can see it right there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click down here on my foreground color. Mine happens to be purple already. So I'm going to click on that and choose a dark purple, and I'm going to press OK. Okay, from here, I'm make sure that I'm still on my gradient layer. And when I click on my gradient, wherever I start drawing is going to be my darkest purple color, and where my cursor ends will be absolutely transparent. So I'm going to click and drag my line across. I'm going to go right to left. If you want to make sure that your line is perfectly straight, you can hold down the Shift key, and it will make it straight. So now I release the key, or release the mouse, and my gradient is extended across the page. Now because my gradient starts over here and it's solid, I want to change the opacity of that and drop it down to 60% so I can see part of the garden back behind there. Okay, now we're ready to add some text. So I want to click on the statue layer so that my text will appear above what I'm creating. I'm going to press the type tool, and in class we used Garamond, I believe. Let's see. These are in alphabetic order, so it doesn't appear that we have Garamond, so we can just keep it with the Deja Vu font that should come up by default. I want to change some settings on this. I'm going to change my font to 60 pixels, and I want the font color to change to white. Now from here, there's some changes that I want to make. I need to still do center alignment. And I'm going to click somewhere in the upper left corner of the image with my type tool. So I click over here, and I'm going to type, oops, I'm going to type Jordan, and then I'm going to enter down, and I'm going to type 2000. Now you'll notice that mine came off the screen. That's okay. I'm going to press confirm. And if yours did the same thing mine did, we can go over there and click on it with the move tool, and we want to drag it back into the doorway. Now we want to apply a layer style to the text layer. So there's a couple of ways that we can do this. When you're on your text layer, you can go up and choose layer and do layer style this way. Or at the bottom of your layers panel, you have a little button that says EFF. That's short for effects. We can click on it and get the same options here. This works the same in Photoshop or Photopea. The first thing I want to do is choose an outer glow. Okay, in my outer glow, my blending mode is going to be screen. My opacity is going to be 35. I'm going to choose black. Click OK. My spread is going to be 10, and my size is also going to be 10. And I'm not going to change any of the other settings. Now I'm going to come up and click on the word stroke, and it's going to give me some stroke options. In the stroke options, I want to change the structure size to 1 pixel. I want it to be positioned on the center. And in the color swatch, I'm going to choose yellow. The yellow that I chose for this lesson is 255, 255, and 0. I'm going to press OK, and we're going to pause right there. Next, we're going to add a pattern overlay to the text that we just created. So we're going to click on the effects, and I'm going to do pattern overlay. And as I do pattern overlay, you're going to see that there's going to start to be some effects that show up over here on your layers panel. For the pattern overlay that we are going to do, we're going to click on our pattern, which is right here, which is fine. It's whatever's going to come up by default. And we want to adjust the scale to 200. So making it really, really large pattern. I'm going to leave everything else in my layer style for that option as is, and we're going to press OK. Next, we're going to do a new layer above Jordan. I'm going to click Control A, that selects all. The next thing I want to do is I want to select, choose Modify, and we're going to choose Border. And right now, what it's going to do is it's going to push the marching ants in a little bit. I'm going to try 10, and I like that it put a thin border around my image. Next, I'm going to go to make sure that my foreground color changes to white. I'm going to press OK. Then I'm going to go to Edit and choose Fill. In Photoshop and in Photopea, the keyboard command for fill is Shift F5. So I'm going to fill it in with my foreground color and press OK. The last thing that I want to do is add a new text layer. So I'm going to click on Type. And down in the bottom corner, I'm going to type my name. So I want you guys to type your name. And since it's probably still centered, we're going to move this over. Now my name shouldn't be as large as the Jordan text. So what I can do is I can double click on the little T in the layers panel. That's over here, this little icon that looks like a T. I'm going to double click on that. And you'll notice that when I did that, it selected my text. And I want to lower my font size to about 48 points. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my font to purple. It can be any shade of purple. I'm going to go a little bit lighter than the color I used for my gradient, so I press OK. And then I'm going to come up here at the top and press OK to commit that change. Lastly, I'm still in my layer for my name. I'm going to go down here to my effects, and I'm going to choose a drop shadow. I'm going to change the distance so it brings it in. My blending mode, first of all, I need to be normal. Distance, let's make that 10. Spread, let's make that 5. Well, let's make that 10. And then on the size, let's make that 15. And if you notice that the shadow isn't very noticeable, you can go in and adjust these a little bit more. I think part of the problem is my opacity is low, so I'm going to bring my opacity up to 100%. Now I see that there's kind of a glow behind it, so I may need to bring these numbers in. Ooh, that one's really, really good right there. So let's make all of our numbers 5, 5, and 5. With 100% normal blending mode, I'm going to press OK, and now I've got my name on here. The last thing I'm going to do is I want to save this as two different ways. I'm going to go to File, and the first thing I'm going to do is save as a PSD, which we've done before. A PSD is really, really important, guys, because it keeps all of the layers. If you were to open this up tomorrow and you saved it as a JPEG only or a PNG only, then we wouldn't be able to see all those layers. So after I save it as a PSD, I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to choose Export as a PNG right here. And when I do that, it's going to give me some options. I want to keep everything the same, and I'm going to hit Save. And so it's going to put it in my downloads. Okay. If you have any questions, remember, always email me your questions. Please don't leave comments in Google Classroom because I don't get those comments as quickly as I do emails. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to help you guys with another lesson soon.